Okay. All right. So I can hear it. Do you have any questions?
No.
Too late. Here we go. Oh, hi. You're listening to Service from Hell, a podcast featuring people that are currently in customer service positions or the lucky few that got out and all of the good, bad, and infinitely irritating things that go along with that work. I'm actor and writer Kate Gaffney, and I'm uniquely qualified to discuss this as I used to work at a very busy and very popular comedy club in Los Angeles, and at least one of you listening right now has probably grabbed me and told me you were ready to order when I was running around like a crazy person. So, let's eat! I'd like to welcome our guest, actor, comedian, blah, 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 Jamison Scala. Originally from New Jersey, exit 145 off the Parkway, Jamison is a graduate of Temple University in Philly and the Second City out here in Los Angeles. Jamison is a producer on Sirius XM's Radio Andy. You're going to hear why in a second. And if you went on a Norwegian cruise over the last few years, you've probably seen him perform improv on the literal ocean. Not a bit. I better know Jamison from having the pleasure of sharing the stage with him a time or two at the Second City Hollywood, and because we're both amazing humans. Y'all, we really are. You're going to find out in a sec. That said, Jamison, tell us what made you want to act, what keeps you going, how much do you miss regular improv? Tell us all the things.
Kate, first off, let me say thanks for having me.
I love that you're
Welcome
here.
to my home.
It's a gorgeous home.
Thank you. It's a small home, but it is a mighty home.
It is mighty.
I have a fake fire burning on YouTube and that's just for you.
Thank you.
I already forgot the question.
No, it's fine. We're going back because you were welcoming me to your gorgeous home. So what made you want to get into acting and move all the way here from the Turnpike Parkway, whatever the hell we're calling it?
Both Turnpike and Parkway. I think I'm similar to a lot of people in Los Angeles, where as a kid I did theater in school and it just really tickled me. And when I went to college, I thought maybe I just want to be behind the camera. And so I majored in communications like everyone in the world does, and quickly realized I really missed performing. So I got a minor in theater, and then a good friend of mine, one of my best friends, that I knew growing up, was moving out here. She got a job from one of our other best friends' brother, who was living here at the time. And so she said, why don't you just move to LA with me? We'll give it a year, see how it goes. I'd never been here before. I mean, it's like a classic story. My car had been shipped. I showed up with 2 suitcases. I had never stepped on California soil.
What?
I'd already been paying rent when I arrived, and I thought, I'll just give it a year. It's an adventure. Let's see what happens. And that was 16 years ago.
Holy shit.
So, yeah, it quickly felt like a place where I felt comfortable. I have a theory about New Jersey, which is that everyone thinks you could leave, but why would you? And it's true. New Jersey does have a lot to offer. There's water, there's snow, there's mountains, there's farms, there's lots of land, there's city living. It really is. There's a lot to offer, but I got out.
You sure did.
Maybe one day I'll be back. I still love New Jersey, but not today.
Not today. Wait, so you shipped your car. You didn't think driving across country was worth it?
I wanted to drive, but at the time, my parents have faith in me, but at the time, I think they thought, let's ship his car. I wanted to drive, and they said, well, we'll pay if we can ship it. And I was like, all right, deal.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Yeah. So then you flew out here with 2 suitcases.
Yeah.
So what'd you do with the rest of your stuff? Is it just at your parents' house?
I just didn't have a lot of stuff. I just kind of pared down, but there are 4 totes in my mother's basement. Thanks, Mom.
Did she bring them up when you go home for the holidays?
No, they're just sitting there in the basement.
Aww.
And sometimes I go through them. It's fun to see that stuff. But it got down to 4 crates, and I just can't seem to get rid of those 4 totes. So that's as much paring down as I can do.
When you own a home, you'll eventually take those 4 totes wherever you end up.
One day.
Now, what keeps you going as far as acting stuff out here? Because this is a brutal industry and it's a brutal city. So what fuels you?
I think there is a bit of delusion attached to it, right? So you're convincing someone and yourself to invest in a sinking ship. Like, we all know it's sinking. Like, there's a hole in the bottom of the boat. We're watching the water flood in, and I'm saying, no, it's fine. Like, let's keep going. Don't stop rowing. And that kind of passion and drive and delusion, I believe, is what is required to keep going. I mean, if every single day someone's saying to you, no, you have to be a little delusional to think, well, it's going to be a yes one day. I joke about that, but that is, I say often there is a fire within me. And it's the only thing I can kind of see myself doing. And if one day I can see myself doing something else, I'll do that. So, life has recently kind of pivoted for me a little bit. So, but whatever job I'm doing is the job I'm doing at that time, I guess.
I agree with you that it's a certain amount of delusion. Have people tried to talk you out of it?
No one's ever tried to talk me out of it.
Wow, your friends have more faith in you than mine have in me. My friends are like, when are you moving back to Ohio? And I'm like, leave my dreams alone.
No, I appreciate it. I'm surrounded by, obviously in LA, I'm surrounded by a lot of people within the industry. Oh, you know what it is? It's my bug thing.
Oh, it's your bug thing.
My God, that's
Jamison, turn off your bug thing. He has no bugs in this apartment.
Where were we?
It's over, actually. We're done.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Such a good
you did such a
time.
great job, Jamison. Thank you, folks, for listening. Okay, so you feel supported, though.
I do. I mean, I have a lot of friends in LA within the industry, and then outside of people in the industry, they've been very kind and very like, go get them, live your dreams, live your goals, and I appreciate that because I think it does require that. I do lean on that support.
Sure. And you had said, so improv kind of fizzled a bit with the pandemic, and you and I were talking off mic about that. Can you elaborate? Because I feel that way as well.
It seems to be the thing that killed improv.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people were wanting to kill it outside of the improv industry, and this was it. Oh,
hold for horns. Hold for horns.
Do other guys have this much noise?
Less, usually a little bit. No, I'm
Wow.
kidding. No, usually it's this terrible. It doesn't matter. It's always hard.
Yeah, I mean, I think when butts are back in the seats and they're starting to get back in the seats, I don't know what's going to become of improv, but I know it's something that I love, and I love the collaborative aspect of it. And I just love that, you start with a suggestion and you just really couldn't plan on your own where it's going to go. And after it's all over, you think, wow, I never would have imagined we were going to be playing lobsters on Mars trying to buy a boat, and then there we were. So I miss it. I miss collaborating with my friends in that capacity. Do you miss it too?
100% with that question. Yeah. And I think it was the sort of, I don't know if this was your experience, but it was kind of the one thing in LA where after all the no's of the day and then just the rejection over and over, you were being so lovingly held on stage that it was like, oh, this is filling my gas tank a bit.
Yeah. And I think also it really is one of the few truly spontaneous things and something that lives for that moment on that stage. And then no one ever sees it again. I mean, you really just never see it again. And, in a world of smartphones and pictures and all those things that children are using.
Okay, boomer.
Things are never forgotten. And I think there's something beautiful about it being pre-planned that we're going to forget this when it's over.
I agree with
Don't worry,
that.
everyone. We'll forget it all when it's over. But yeah, there's something beautiful about just sending it into the world and never seeing or hearing from it again.
Yeah. And not that this is about that, but I am curious. Do you think that the advent of Instagram Live and stories and TikTok and that sort of, this is my theory. I'm projecting my theory. Here's what I think happened. I think,
wow.
Here we go.
Okay,
I'm
it's
the
really
guest.
Okay, yeah,
I'm
I
the guest
believe
now.
your
Thank
theory.
you.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Good. Thank you. I don't even need to tell you
Okay.
what it is. That's all I needed. I think that because improv was what we were told our vehicle in was as actors, and every commercial casting person was looking for it as experience, etc., that now because you can become famous by like farting into a bag and filming it or whatever, that improv was no longer as necessary.
What was wrong with my story about me farting into a bag?
I didn't want to like say it was you. Why are you being
That's
weird?
all right.
Don't be
Okay,
weird.
I mean, I got a lot of views on it, but
I know you
okay,
did.
sorry, keep going. But yes, I see.
Don't
your
you?
point,
Do
yeah.
you think? I mean, that's just my theory.
I think things just change. I think we're growing and we're changing, and I think things just change. And as much as we want to hold on to the past, things just evolve. And as much as I want to say like, but I put all those years and all that money into it, doesn't it matter? Maybe or maybe not. And ultimately, what people are willing to absorb and take in is what is being absorbed and taken in.
That's
so
right.
if 10 million people are watching someone fart into a bag, then go through your cabinets, get your bags out, and
eat some beans and let's get it going.
Start to practice, Yeah, it hurts my heart a little bit because I feel like it's something I've trained with. I've really tried to be as best as I possibly can be in it. And yes, and I'm watching people fart into a bag and get sponsored by Adidas or whatever. This podcast is not sponsored by Adidas. How rude.
But we're open for it.
But again, that's their journey and this is my journey. It's tough, but it's just going to keep going.
That's right. And are you on TikTok?
I have an account, but I don't use it. It's just,
same.
It's too much. I had to, I'm sure maybe one day I'll be there. I'll tell you, one of my biggest fears is becoming the substitute teacher who doesn't know how to use the VHS player. And all the kids have to be like, the red wire attaches to the red
and
input.
You're like, what?
Change the input. I don't want to be that. And my thought is that one version of technology is the springboard for the next.
Yeah.
So if I don't learn how to use TikTok, whatever's after that, now I'm 2 behind. And then what's after that, I'm 3 behind. So I don't want to get behind. I don't want to be the substitute teacher who doesn't know how to use.
That's a really good tip.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even think about it like that. But yes, everything does build off of the other thing that was before it. So we started with Facebook and now here we are. So
we started with Friendster.
Holy shit. And MySpace, actually.
I mean,
I'm so wrong. And AOL and oh gosh, who
Yeah.
knew? Here we are. Oh, I'm tired already.
Oh, no.
Help.
Hey, pep up. It's going to be okay. That could be where you strike it big, whatever's next.
Yeah, that's true.
And I'll be like, God, all Kate did was take out her contacts and it says 4 million views. She took out her contacts and licked them.
Okay, but you have what could be the best TikTok idea of all time because you're throwing it up on Instagram stories and it is, I live for it. Can I?
Well, you mentioned it before and I thought we should probably clarify this because it's a weird.
Did I mention it already on the podcast?
You said like the kids below you.
That I was
like,
going to kill.
People are probably listening and thinking like, what was she talking about?
So Jamison, can I tell them what you do? It's the best. So you have to follow him on Instagram, but on his Instagram stories, he does this.
At Hey Jamison Scala.
Hey Jamison Scala. He does the best Russian accent, in my opinion. Whatever. It's not appropriation. He's an actor. It's so good. And he has a Russian daycare. And I say that because where he lives, there's a large Russian community. It truly is a Russian daycare. They speak Russian. It's children that speak Russian, etc. And it's so loud. It's just so loud, perpetually all day.
So I'm in the back of my building, and then the Russian daycare is on the street parallel to mine. So their backyard and my balcony butt up against each other. And I didn't notice, I knew there was a daycare there because I would occasionally hear them. But then during the global pandemic, you might have remembered.
Where? What?
It was 2020.
I've not.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't remember.
Anyway, Google it. I was home, but everything was closed, But then things started opening up that July. And all of a sudden, I'm just like hearing this ruckus. And I'm realizing the kids are back. And boy, are they back. They are back all day, Monday through Friday. And kind of the most intrusive part of it is, this is going to sound creepy that I know this. So they arrive, that's noisy. Then they go outside. They're inside most of the day. Then they take a break from 11 to 12 where they're outside. Then they go back inside, I guess, to nap and probably eat. Then they come back outside around 4:00. And that's like the pickup time. But that's also, Kate, when the birthday parties happen. Now, the normal noise is fine because it's kids talking. It's white noise to me because I don't speak Russian. So it's just like sweet and they're giggling and it's fun and it's kids having fun and that's nice. But when is birthday party? Out come like roller speaker, Oh, speaker roll out. They get DJ, man dress up like Pumbaa. One time it was like Hakuna Matata start playing, and I think sitting at my desk thinking, I like this song, but then it play again, and then it play again, like 20 times Hakuna Matata. That is enough to make you want to open balcony door and say, shut up. But you can't do that because it's legal. It's children. So I just
birthday party.
So anyway, I used to send these videos to my brother, and he's like, "Dude, I think this is really funny. I think you should post it and see. I think people are gonna like it. People love it.
Love it. Live for it.
People love it.
That could be a TikTok.
People love it. I worry that one day it will have been offensive. I hope it's not. That's not my goal. But I want everyone to know now that it came to me. It is happening to me. I didn't seek it out. It is oppressive. It is aggressive. It is so loud. It is so loud. Like, I can't, if I'm on a Zoom and it's happening, they're like, mute your microphone. Who's next to you screaming? It's so loud. So like, I have no choice but to turn, like my lemons into vodka. It's like they have no other choice. And that is what I've done. And I like to think if they watched videos, they would think it was funny. I never show faces on purpose because like I don't know these people and these children, like that is weird. So that's that.
This is what is tough in the comedic realm, is that it is not appropriation, because you're not then, in my opinion, you're not saying you're Russian. You're not making fun of the fact that they are not from here, or that they're like, you're just, it's literally the facts of the situation.
It's what it is. In fact, I actually really thank God it's in another language, whatever other language it is.
Because you can tune it out.
Because I can tune it out. If it was in English, it would be a problem.
Yeah.
So I'm very thankful.
And so now that you're no longer working from home, it's obviously, you miss it. Obviously.
Yeah, I miss it, but like I'm usually home by 5, and that is like goodbye time, So like and bizarrely this summer, most birthday party ever. So like I think maybe they cram them all into summertime because now it's dark out, It's like,
so they're like, you were born in October, tough shit. We're celebrating in July.
Like, yes, it's like, yeah. But I got to know their names. Like my favorite student is Michael, because he's always getting into trouble. People always yelling at Michael, always. But all the little kids want to play with Michael. They're always like yelling like, Michael, play, like. But adults always like, Michael, So.
I love it.
All right, I'll stop there.
No, I love it. Find him on Instagram for that, because it's the most fun. Okay, so just so that we can get us up to today. So you had said that your life had taken a bit of a pivot during this time. So you are an actor, you're a comedic actor, but get us up to today. So you're not doing improv at the moment. What are you doing right now?
Right. So right now I'm a producer at SiriusXM. I work on Radio Andy Cohen has a channel. I work on his channel, and it was just kind of a weird career shift, and I kind of fell into it. And it's been cool. And it's, I think for an actor, job is a 4-letter word.
Hello.
And I feared like I'd never had a corporate job. I hadn't had a full-time job in a long time. And I just was really nervous about how I would feel artistically and emotionally about it. Any corporate America person listening to this is like, oh, get over it. And I get that. I do understand that. But but artists just think in a bit of a different way. And I got a little nervous, and I was very pleasantly surprised to realize I was in a job that allows me to get to be artistically creative and really encourages it. And I specifically work on a show where my input is seen as valuable. So getting to be part of the radio show is really fun. And it is like actor adjacent. It's what I'm doing now. And I'm curious to see where this journey goes. I really have no clue. But I think any artist, no matter what your medium is, has been in a situation where you've kind of taken a turn and you're like, okay, this is what I'm doing now. I'm just not really sure how long I'm going to do it, but I'm enjoying it. So I'll just see where this goes.
100%.
And that's kind of how I feel right now. And I'm paying into a 401k. I mean, I never thought that was going to happen.
How adult of you.
I have health insurance.
What?
I have a copay.
What?
I mean, it's like...
Can I get a job here?
I know, it's very alluring.
I mean, that's sexy as hell.
It's strong. I'm like, how am I ever going to turn my back on this?
I mean, in the dating game, too, you get to pitch like, yo, I have health insurance.
I know.
And instantly...
I know, but it's interesting you say that, because I do feel a little behind in the dating game.
Wait, why?
Because I'm almost 40, and it's my first kind of corporate America job. So I feel like there are people that have been doing this for 15 plus years, and I'm just learning the ins and out of corporate America. I'm not an idiot. I've worked this whole time, but it's corporate. And so like you have to wear clothes when you go to work. I'm just kidding, no. But like there are things that I'm learning for the first time, but I like learning, and it's an interesting adventure. And yeah.
I'm glad for you.
Thank you.
I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, it feels like a good thing. It feels like the right thing. And I don't know that I believe in kind of fate or that kind of stuff, but it feels, if I had to kind of like get to this spot. I would have never been able to get here on my own. It just kind of the world pushed and poked me in this direction, and this is where I am now. And thank you to the world for whatever makes those decisions.
Yeah, thanks. It's crows.
Him, her, them, whatever it might be.
It's genderless crows or non-binary crows.
Could be. What do we know?
We don't know. I think it is. Crows are scary. Okay. Well, folks, we hoped you enjoyed your apps. We're going to move on to the entrees after a quick break.
Take that break, Kate.
We're back. Now we're going to move on to the entrees. Okay. Now, Jamison, this is the speed round of questions. I keep calling it a speed round because that's just automatically what comes out of my mouth. But I want you to tell stories. So I have to find a different way to say that. But
Is there like a ticking timer?
Yeah. I will punch you in the face if it goes too long. How about that? So the ticker is just whatever I'm feeling.
Cool.
Okay, great. What was your first job ever where the government was taking taxes out? So some people have said like paper route or babysitting, fine. But like where the government was involved.
The first job where the government was involved.
You
You can check my taxes.
Okay.
I'm not hiding anything. Was a camp counselor at the camp I went to as a kid. Shout out Livingston Recreation Camp.
Aww.
And it was a 3-hour day in the summer for 6 weeks. And I loved being a camp counselor. I hated being a camper, but I loved being a counselor.
That's because you're like a leader.
I am a leader,
shiny.
but also they split up the boys and the girls. And so it was like me and all boys all day. And as you can probably guess,
Chaos.
I just did not have a ton in common with boys my age as a kid.
Yeah.
And so it was a little, all boys want to do, I don't know if it's still that way, is play dodgeball. And just beat the shit out of each other. I happen to also be a bit of a chubby kid, so I was slow. I have no athletic ability. It was just I was gay. It was just a nightmare.
Wait, you're a beanpole now. You were a chubby
just
kid?
like puberty worked out for me.
Apparently it did.
Yeah,
Good job,
yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Hit that lottery. I'd rather be a
you.
beanpole now than fucking then. Did you know, this is not related, but like, did you know your sexual identity
You
at
can't
that
ask
age?
someone that, Kate.
You
That's
can't?
no, I'm kidding.
Is it really?
I'm just kidding.
I was
totally,
like, oh my God,
kidding.
I'm a terrible.
I'm kidding.
Help,
No.
help.
At that age, I didn't know. I
didn't.
knew I was different. I just didn't know what it was because I just didn't have the framework to understand it.
Yeah, but you
I
were like-
knew like I would rather be with my sticker books or braiding bracelets instead of playing dodgeball.
And getting punched in the face with a ball.
But you know, in my parents' defense, like my brothers went there, and also it was good physical activity, and there was no physical activity I liked. So it was only 3 hours a day. It was a good thing to do, and I loved being a counselor there.
So why would you then be attracted to the job of a counselor if you had such a miserable experience as a camper? What would make you want that job?
That's a good question. I guess it's like I like leading, and so I like
you're a leader.
I'm like I do well being in charge, and I like helping. I've worked with kids for a long time. I babysat. I've taught kids, and it is nice to feel like you're helping a kid have fun.
Oh yeah, I guess
like
that's
bringing joy into a kid's life. Yeah.
Yeah, I was a day camp director and I fucking hated it. So good. I'm glad you had fun. Okay, so it was the first job ever. Now, we have to be a little bit careful, audience, about naming some things because
13 inches. Oh, wait.
good. Shaft or no shaft. So we have to be a little bit careful naming actual names. So when I ask the next question, we can just sort of hover above what they kind of are. So how many customer service jobs have you had?
A handful. I guess I would say about 5.
About 5 or 5, Jamison? We need the audience cares.
Well, you know, it's funny. Before you got here, I was thinking 3, and then I mentioned another job, and you're like, "Oh, that's one," and I was like, "Oh, okay, 4." I don't know. I've done so
lot of
many
jobs.
jobs.
Yeah, as
but
an
like
actor.
consistent jobs, I'd say about 5.
Okay. So the thing is like the spoiler alert that I try to explain to everyone that will listen is I literally think almost every job on the planet could be some faction of it involves customer service, short of maybe not being a NASA astronaut.
Okay, then 55.
55.
Probably about 50.
There we
A
go.
lot of
Just
jobs.
added a 5. 55.
A lot of W-2s.
Perfect.
A lot of 1099s. Yeah.
Oh, I'm ready to just be rich. Okay, which was your favorite of the 55?
One of my best jobs ever was also in high school.
Yeah.
I worked at a cider mill, like an old-fashioned pressing cider, selling apples, selling pies. the Nediac Cider Mill in Livingston, New Jersey.
Wait, that sounds amazing.
It was as amazing as it sounds, family run and owned. And, we were family friends with the people who owned it, the Oxes, and they are lovely people. And it was just such a cool, different experience. And I was never part of pressing the cider, but I was part of jugging the cider. I made donuts. I worked in the store, so sold the apples, sold the pies. I would sneak in the back and I would eat the raw crumb from the apple crumb pies. So
Hell
good.
yeah, that's good.
So good. It was also a physical job, so that's a good job for me because I'm a bit of a wuss and a wimp. And so it was good for me to be like lifting crates of apples, and it was cold, it was always cold. And when we weren't in the store that was cold, we were in the cooler that was cold. So I did that for a bunch of years. And it was just such a cool, unique job and a lot of happy memories there. The cider mill no longer exists.
Damn it, I was just about to ask that.
Yeah,
Really?
it closed. But I'll tell you, for a long time, my most recurring dream was of the cider mill.
Wait, what does that mean?
What happened is my boss passed away, Mr. Ox. And so and that kind of was the end of the cider mill. And I just would have a lot of recurring dreams about him. I have a lot of vivid dreams, so I would have a lot of vivid recurring dreams about him and the cider mill. And it was just a really common theme in my dreaming. That was throughout college.
Like he would come say hi to you, or you would just dream about experiences you had had?
Sometimes he was there, sometimes he wasn't. But then it got to the point where I was having lucid dreams. I was dreaming about it so much that I knew when I saw him that it was a dream, and I was aware I was having a lucid dream, but that only happened a couple times.
That is so cool. God, I wish this podcast was about that shit. I want to ask you 600 questions.
It was a cool job. I'm forever thankful, and they're wonderful people.
So what was it about that job? Do you think it was also time in your life that made it amazing? Like, is that a job you think you'd appreciate to the same degree now? Or do you think it truly was an amazing job?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
I'm good at this, Jamison.
I think working as an adult is so different because it's survival. Yes. I was a kid. That was extra money for me. I was also babysitting. So
at the same time?
Yes. So I would work there Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then I would work 8 hours Saturday and Sunday and babysit Saturday night.
No.
That was a lot. I remember my parents weren't like, you have to work. Like, it was never that, but I've always been a saver. I like saving money. So, I took that money to college. So wow. I just saved a bunch I did buy a pair of Doc Martens.
Ooh.
Gay. So I think it was a moment in time, and I think it was an exciting time of life, graduating high school and becoming a man. And so I think it was a moment in time, and in a way it's kind of nice that it existed and it no longer does. It also was surrounded the holidays. So like Thanksgiving was really big, working on Thanksgiving, leading up to Thanksgiving was so big, and it was all hands on deck, and it was just like pressing cider and jugging cider all day, all night. It was just such a thrill, and so synonymous with Thanksgiving for me for so long. So
did they have an orchard on the property where they were creating the apples were growing that they had access to?
They got their apples from somewhere else.
Fuck off. That's like, what a way to lose money though.
There just wasn't enough space.
Oh, okay.
I think at one time there were apple trees, but they did not yield enough fruit to sell.
Okay. And so when Mr. Ox passed away, did they close the business right away?
So it was seasonal, and he passed away, I believe, in the spring, and I don't think they didn't open it up the next fall.
This is going to be a weird question. What did it smell like when you walked in?
Great question. Excellent question, because the smell was so pungent, it would permeate clothes. So I had cider mill clothes that I left out on the porch because it was such a strong smell. Like, I couldn't come in the house and like have those clothes inside. It was a great smell, but it was such a sweet apple smell. And actually, one of the things that comes the closest, you won't be able to find it now because it's not in season anymore. Trader Joe's sells in the fall a Honey Crisp apple candle, and it smells just like the cider mill. Kate, I actually have it here, so I'm gonna have you smell it before you leave.
Yes, I will.
But the first time I smelled it, the first thing I thought was, this smells exactly like the cider mill.
Now, I have heard this from people who have worked at Dunkin' Donuts or have worked anywhere that has strong smells in the space. When you smelled that, not now it's nostalgic, so I'm sure when you smell it, you're like, oh, I love it. Obviously, you bought the candle. But for periods of time after that job, when you would smell it, would you be like, oh, God, it's too much?
Yeah, I mean, it was associated with work for a long time, but it you knew where you were, and it wasn't bad. It was just such a unique, strong smell. Yeah.
And so the clothes would absorb it so much that you literally couldn't walk into your home.
No, I would just, because they would be in my room, and then my whole room would smell like them.
Work.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah.
nobody wants
I mean,
that.
It's apples, but still, yeah, I would leave them on the porch.
And when you would, what is the apple pressing? Like, was that very laborious and heavy and hard to do?
I wasn't doing the pressing. So the press used this, centuries old press. So you take, the way it works is you take apples and then you grind them into pulp, and then you layer the pulp on a cheesecloth. And then you put like a board on top of that. Then you put another cheesecloth down, put more pulp in that. You close the cheesecloth up, put a board on top of that. So you have cheesecloth filled with pulp, and then a board, cheesecloth filled with a pulp board. So you stack that 20, high. Then you put a press on it and you press it down. Press cider, and then you just squeeze out all the juice. I mean, it's fresh juice. I mean, you can just go right under the spout, and that's it.
Oh my God. Would you ever drink it like straight as
yeah,
they
it was just
God.
good. But you can't drink too much apple cider.
Wait, why?
You're going to the bathroom a lot.
It'll make you shit?
Apples, fiber. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. You can't go hog wild on cider as much as you want to.
Because you might shit your pants.
You might shit your pants.
That's amazing. Okay. And to this day, when you drink cider now, are you like, ugh, this doesn't measure up. It's not the same.
No, a lot of, like apple juice doesn't taste like it, but a lot of ciders they do come close. They taste
Really?
good. Yeah.
Who's the best one right now?
I don't have it often, but I'm a Trader Joe's stan guy.
I
just
am
love
too.
Trader Joe's,
Their
and
cider is
pretty
good, right?
Yeah, there's probably some preservatives in it, which I don't love,
Yeah.
but it's pretty close.
Oh, I love that. Okay. Wow. I'm so sorry. We spent a lot of time talking about apples, but I was very curious. Oh, calm down. Okay. So at 55, that was your favorite. What was your least favorite of all the customer service jobs?
So it's interesting. I wasn't expecting to name this one until you said it was a customer service job. I hadn't thought about it because I've worked in retail and at restaurants, and I hated those jobs so much, Kate. They were not for me. However, they paled in comparison to becoming a property manager.
Bum, bum, bum. Tell me
now,
everything.
a lot of actors do this job, and I'm sure you probably know a bunch of people that have done it.
Yes, I do.
It's a pretty obviously it exists all over the world, but it's very common in LA for actors to do it because typically you get free rent and it allows you free time to then pursue acting and whatever.
In theory.
I was in this weird kind of transition of life where I'd moved out of my old apartment. I was sleeping on that friend's couch that I moved out here with, and I wasn't sure what was next. And that one of our actor friends and our improv friends got me connected. Very kind of her. I was seeking it out, and I thought, this is it. This is the answer to all my prayers. This is going to be it. The problem for me is that it was not in the greatest area, and the building was not kind of the nicest, which is fine. I've lived in all kinds of places as an adult, but I was still excited about it. I like organizing, and it just very quickly turned bad. Because for me, and this is unfortunately when I learned this, my home is my safe place. It is my sacred place. It is my home in all sense of the word. And suddenly my home was my office, and work never ended. Like truly never, ever, ever ended. I never felt like I could never take a full sigh out because I never knew when the phone was going to ring or someone was going to knock on the door, and these people did not give a shit. Now, conversely, if you're working in a building where people are paying a lot of money, then they're very demanding of you as well. So it's just kind of the lesser of the two evils. It's not necessarily that I was in like a crappier building and like these people were just insensitive. It's not that. I mean, rich people in a rich building could be even more aggressive with their wants and desires. So I didn't like it.
Where are you comfortable saying what part of town that was
in? The heart of Hollywood, babe.
Oh, boy.
The heart. HEAR capital T.
Oh, I mean, were you dealing with a homeless, dangerous kind of situation?
I was not. Actually, that was not part of it. It was the people within the building. It was the homed that were the issue.
The unhoused left you all alone.
It was the housed that were the issue. And it was just all kinds of personalities. And
would they knock 24/7?
Not really, but it was for me. It was the anxiety of the phone ringing.
Oh,
like that's just the kind of person I am. Like I'm always worrying about what's next. Unfortunately, I'm dealing with it. I'm working on it. It's
Leave
me.
him alone.
It has its pluses in my life too. I'm alive. I haven't broken many bones. Like it's okay. So it just was. Again, like the organizational aspect of it, I liked that I was kind of helping people, but there's emergencies all night long. Even if you're a nice person, there's just emergencies that happen all night long. And I had to answer the phone.
How many units in the building?
I had 40 on-site units, and then I had 20 off-site units.
No.
Yeah.
So you would have to go drive to those little...
Yeah, it was close, but it was enough to really take me over the edge.
Oh, I can't imagine.
And that was a fancy building.
Oh, and were they just demanding as hell?
Not all of them, but there were a few. And really, it just takes, one. It really just takes one.
What's the most outlandish thing you were like expected to take care of? That you were like,
smoke alarm beep was going off. And listen, I'm sensitive to that. Like I can't sleep. It drives me crazy.
Yeah.
And she called me like this off hours, and the emergency line rang, and I was like, "What's up?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's beeping." And I was like, "Well, it's like beeping, like it's going off, or like it's a low battery?" She's like, "No, it's a low battery." And I was like, "Okay."
Not
and
an
she's
emergency.
Like, so I need someone to come here and change it. And I was like, "Well, change it yourself."
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. She's like, I can't reach it. And I'm like, well, what happened the last time? Like, how are you on Earth? What are you doing? Are you paying your bills? Do you pay your taxes? Like,
are you okay?
Is there gas in your car? Like, have you sent gifts to your nieces and nephews? Like, what are you doing? How are you navigating this world?
Like, are you okay?
And I'm such I want to just take care of all the things I can take care of. I don't want to involve other people if I don't have to.
God, they
so that was
loved
weird.
you.
But I mean, the cops had to get called. That was
why?
It was a wacky. I moved in someone, unbeknownst to me, who was unfortunately suffering from mental illness.
Oh no.
And I am not a professional in this, but I'm gathering from this. It was some kind of alternate personality, schizophrenia type thing where he would interact with me in one way, but then in a complete other way where like there were no traces of the other person. And I wasn't even the one to call the cops. Like multiple people had called. It got really uncomfortable and weird and sad.
Yeah. Did it get dangerous?
Well, it's interesting. The cops came, but a person can't be arrested unless their life is in danger or you feel your own life is in danger. And I did not feel as though my life was in danger, and I hadn't been threatened, and this person didn't threaten to harm themselves, and so it just was what it was.
So how long did he live there?
I left shortly after that.
Smart. You're
So
like, this is my swan
I felt
song.
bad, and maybe things calmed down. I don't really know what happened after that, and I feel bad that I don't know if I like brought that upon all those people in that building. That certainly was not my goal. I thought I was actually helping out someone, and it backfired.
So how was he able to control it during the sort of interview process and like showing him the apartment and stuff?
Don't know. It was
out of this world.
It was out of this world. It was out of this world.
So that was the most extreme. Did you ever have any like domestic violence stuff that you had to interact
No, I
with?
didn't have that. I did have like some weird voodoo witch business.
Immediately tell me.
Where one person thought that their neighbor was... Yeah. Well, they told me that the former manager had let vampires into their unit, so they couldn't let people in anymore. Yeah, it's weird. People are weird. Hoarder situation.
No.
Hoarder, like, yeah.
Wait. We're going to go back to the hoarder in a second.
Okay.
But wait. This person, so I want to get clear on the vampires. So this person said vampires are living with me right now, so you can't come in?
No. Someone brought vampires in at a different point, so they don't like strangers in their home because someone prior to, like a building manager like myself, had let a vampire like in the guise of a plumber or, electrician or something.
I mean... There probably are vampires masquerading as, blue collar workers. Who's to say?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know.
I can't disprove it.
I can't disprove it.
So,
Yeah.
and then the hoarder situation. So would that have, because I never know how this works. I know how it works if it's in the city and you own a home and you become what's considered a nuisance or something.
Someone's watching A&E.
Okay. I love that show.
Same.
But they don't address the real issues.
Yeah,
That's why they go back
know.
to it. Anyway, so I know how it works with the city, but I don't know how it works with an individual tenant. So did you go in or did you have to go in and say you need to leave?
No. Essentially, I was there to kind of document the situation. So you can't just, I mean, yay for renters. You can't just kick someone out of their apartment, which is good news. But however, when it's a situation where that's the situation, unfortunately, you can't just tell that person like you got to shape up or ship out, and you have to just document it over a fair amount of time and then seek legal counsel.
So did you, in situation, maybe not specifically that situation, but if you ever had a situation where you had to document and or kick someone out, did you ever feel unsafe?
No, I didn't feel unsafe, but I felt dirty.
Oh.
I no joke, I walked into the shower with all my clothes on.
You're kidding me.
I felt really gross.
And that was specifically for the hoarder situation?
Yeah, it was really gross.
So did it have an odor?
It had everything.
All the odors?
Yeah.
Did she have cats?
This person did not have animals.
No animals.
I don't. Do roaches count as animals? Do they count as pets?
No, they count as roommates.
Okay. Well, I had a lot of roommates, really splitting that rent like 100, maybe even 5,000 ways.
Which, see, in that case, that's what I don't understand in an apartment building, because it's not like a roach is like, oh, just this unit. The roaches scatter. So as a property owner, I would be like, yo, we have to fumigate. And if you can't fumigate, you got to get out.
Yeah, that person actually did not bother me that much. And so it was something that I had to deal with and then got higher than me. And then I was happy to pass it off.
Okay.
It didn't affect my day-to-day, thankfully.
Who was the worst tenant you ever had to deal with?
Oh, the worst one I had to deal with. It was that guy. It was the
schizophrenic is pretty intense.
It was. I just didn't have the tools to deal with it, and I didn't want to be. I wanted to help the situation, and then I didn't know how to do that.
Did the property owners have your back in those situations?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, well that's good.
Yeah, everyone was on board with trying to do what was safe and right and correct, and again, I kind of left it in their hands, and it's something that kind of sticks with me. Like, I'm not that kind of person to just be like, it's your problem now.
Yeah.
But I don't know whatever happened. I hope he got the help he needed, and I hope people are living peacefully in that building. Sure. There were some fun moments. I did really enjoy getting to see the ins and outs of that all. It was interesting. It certainly was a career.
Sure.
And I learned a career in a short amount of time.
How long did you do it?
Only 6 months.
I wouldn't have lasted longer either.
After a couple weeks, I thought, I can't do this. And that's not usually me, but I promised myself I would get to 6 months. It just was like kind of an arbitrary marker I made. And every single day, I said to myself, it's not forever. It's just for now.
Wow.
As I just didn't have anything else, and I didn't really know what I was going to do next. So I just thought, I'm just going to kind of swing on this vine until I find the next vine, which I ended up finding.
And as an actor, what I don't understand is, because I had a property manager in one of my buildings that was also an actor, and he would actively go out and audition. And I just always wondered, what if you get a phone call that's like, you need to be here immediately, and you're on your way to Santa Monica to audition?
There is I think I got my buildings to a point at 6 months where I thought, okay, I've got this under control. And I could have seen it being a position where I just had to do a lot of work to get it set up, and then the rhythm was set and we could live in a peaceful state. So I do think people who do this just get their buildings into a good rhythm. I have a really good friend who's done this for probably over a decade, and it works, but it's him and his wife. So part of it is having a teammate involved. I think that's a big part of it. And they've kind of trained their building. I don't think I set good enough boundaries. And that's something I've learned. Well, I learned a lot.
Yeah. And so you did that. And were you also able to see like, oh, I can see how this eventually would be something somebody likes, or was it just a tolerable?
You need to be able to turn it off, and I couldn't.
Yeah.
And that's my own personality.
Yeah.
There are people who are capable of doing that, and I'm envious of doing it. I can't do it. when something is somewhat encompassing, it is all encompassing, and it's hard for me to separate it. But I think that's also, again, artists, guys. We're talking about art here, people. Are you tapped into the art? So like I can't separate it. And I worked on it. I'm like, just separate it. I couldn't do it. And if I could have, I probably would still be at the job.
Really? Did you get free rent?
I did. There were a lot of perks to it.
Yeah, but were you also paid, or was it just free rent?
There are different versions of it. So I got paid a little. The version there's different scales based on the kind of building you have and the amount of units you have, at least at this company. And so I had kind of a hybrid version.
Oh yeah, I don't think I could do it. I'm 100% the same way. If it
was really nice not paying rent.
I mean, that's great until it's and let me tell you this much. I have had some situations that were quote unquote free. Nothing's free.
I know,
pay in some way.
I gotta tell you, I ran that air conditioner. Like
I bet you did.
Jeff Bezos. I was just
You're like, it's 52 degrees outside. AC still on. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I'm not paying for this.
Okay, so that was your least favorite. What's the weirdest thing you've been asked to do whilst on the clock?
God, I've done a lot of personal assistant work, which has generally actually gone very well.
Yeah.
But it's personal.
Are you able to say anything?
I'm not. No, I'm not. No.
Boo.
I didn't sign an NDA, but it's just not. I'm not willing. I'm not going to say.
Morals.
But there was just a lot of not necessarily things I was asked to do, but things I saw that I was surprised about. Like I'm really just your employee. I don't know that I should be seeing this kind of thing. But again, generally it was a very positive experience. And again, I learned a lot about myself, and I learned about boundaries. There's a theme to this. I actually feel like I have good boundaries, Kate. I do. But yeah, there were definitely some moments where I was like, I did that. I did. And again, I would not have done something I wasn't comfortable doing. I always felt comfortable saying no if I felt uncomfortable. And there were times where I was like, I'm not comfortable doing that.
No, I won't call your Coke dealer. That's not something
no,
I'm okay
not like
with.
that. Not like that. But I don't know, like buying tampons is always kind of like,
Oh, is
that
it
doesn't
really
even
weird?
feel like, it just feels kind of silly, for me.
And is that something you said no to?
No, I did it.
Oh, you did it.
Yeah, I
but
did
you
it.
just felt weird doing it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. That's
a little,
honest.
but a very reasonable thing. I mean, like, let's normalize that women have their periods. I mean,
Hello.
It's happening.
Yeah, it is happening.
It's happening.
It's currently
right now.
right in this minute. Shit, I'm on your couch. Oh, it's gross.
I mean, if it happens, it happens. Okay.
You're so nice.
It's not your fault.
Okay, so that's the weirdest thing you've been asked to do. Personal assisting stuff that we can't really get into.
I think that was like the most unique, not like weirdest or like scariest, but kind of the most unique situation I've been in. There probably is something. I'm going to say it was involved in that world.
Okay, understand that. Okay, understood is what I meant to say. Was there an incident that ever made them ask to speak to your manager at any of your jobs?
Oh my God.
Yes.
So, okay, I've had one restaurant job.
Okay.
It was a fancy restaurant.
Oh boy.
And
rich clientele.
I had to wear a suit.
Good God. To serve food?
Well, I was a host.
Oh, I can see why they put you at the front.
So they were, the servers were in uniforms, and I was a host. I later made it up to Maitre D. Yeah,
whoop,
I
whoop.
am that kind of person. That I liked because
you're in charge.
I liked being in charge, and I also liked figuring out the table flipping. It's like math, Like
Sure.
if I see these people at this table at 5, I'm going to need this table again at 8. Like this will flip in time, but this won't flip in time. So I liked that. It felt like algebra to me.
Ugh.
Okay, day 1. I'm still in my training shift. Maybe day 2. I'm still training. Tables have numbers.
Yeah.
So you have to learn. Well,
Tell me more.
People who don't know, tables are numbered in restaurants, and like that's how people at work at the restaurant speak to each other. Do this at table 33, this at table 41, this at 2. So they said seat them at table whatever. I sat them at the wrong table.
Oops.
Now they made me go back and move them, which actually in retrospect I think they shouldn't have made me do, or my boss should have done.
100%.
Anyway, whatever. I just said yes, and I went back and I moved the table. And this one woman was like,
incensed.
Wow. You must be really embarrassed, end quote. wow, this is really embarrassing for you, isn't it? And I just kind of like was like, yeah. So, okay, sat them at the right table, thought it was over. Kate, it wasn't over.
Oh my God.
So a couple weeks go by, and my boss, who got me this job and was a really cool, it probably still is a very cool guy,
Nah, he just was.
pulled me aside and he's like, hey, I have to tell you this as the manager. You know, that woman that night actually ended up writing a letter about that experience.
Off!
And I was like, she wrote a letter about me seating her at the wrong table? And he's like, yeah, she did. Now, I'm not going to lie. I've written a letter or two.
But not over
But
something
I really
like that.
reserve them for the moment that deserves the letter. You know, sometimes you just have to write that letter. But I'm talking about a big injustice.
Which I would ask you
This
about.
just didn't feel like that big of an injustice. It was to her. But what I came to realize is at this restaurant, there were two kinds of people. There were super rich people that were just having a meal, and like normal people that work really hard for their money and were about to drop a ton of their hard-earned money on this meal. And they, not all of them, some of them felt what came with spending that money was also treating people like shit.
God.
And that didn't always happen. In fact, the wealthier people were the kinder, more generous people. It was the people, like the ordinary people, like you and me, that there was just this thing that happened where it was like, I'm here, I'm dropping a load of money and I'm getting what I want, which I think we've all experienced in a way where like we've spent a lot of money on a trip and then, you know, it's like it didn't go as planned and you're like, I saved for so long so I can appreciate it, but also like, lady, if that was the worst problem of the last 2 weeks of your life, you are hashtag blessed. Like everyone relax.
So she writes a letter and the manager speaks to you and then you still ended up promoted in the company.
Yeah, the
so-
manager was like, this is BS. I just have to tell you about it because it happened. I don't know. Maybe I had a file. I don't know. And then life kind of just carried on there. But
Did you ask to see it?
I didn't.
Oh, I would have. I would have
I
been
know,
like, let
I
me read
should've.
this. Well, it would have just made me angry.
I
and
was
then-
younger and it was
Yeah.
a different time.
I need to understand a situation in which you would write a letter or have written a letter. You don't have to tell me where if you don't want to.
Okay, here's something that's like been irking me. I'm one of those CVS coupon people. So I go to this, I save up my coupons, I double coupon, I triple, I quadruple
too.
coupons. Like I'm big with the coupons. I save them. I have online coupons. I have printed coupons. It's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Inevitably, when I go, some of the coupons don't work. And that irks me because then a manager has to be called over and I say, how embarrassing for you. No, I would never. I feel bad for them and I say, I'm sorry, you know, this happens all the time. I don't know why they're issuing these coupons if it's such a big deal. And they're like, yeah, we know, it's really weird. So I sent an email and I said, hey, not for nothing. If you can't honor the coupon, just don't issue it.
Yeah.
Like,
It's so easy.
because it's putting everyone in a weird spot. I'm in a weird spot because now I'm like an asshole is asking to see the manager, and they're in a weird spot. You're putting you're setting your employees up to fail because now the cashier can't handle it. They have to call over a manager. Like everyone's losing in this situation. So just
Don't issue it.
Just don't issue it, and then I don't need to use it. So I'm not like yelling at people and telling them they
No,
need
you're
to
giving
die.
tips.
I'm just saying like, hey, this is what's happening. So I think that was my most recent email.
Wait, did you get a response?
I did. I got a very nice response like, oh, we'd love to talk with you more about this issue. And I said, I've told you my issue. Your employees are doing a great job. They're doing as best they can. Your corporate has to figure something else out. Like, and I let it be. I didn't want to keep going.
Yeah. You're like, I've actually told you.
I wasn't looking to get anything out of it. I just thought, don't issue the coupon if you
can't honor it.
Yeah, if you can't
Full
honor
stop.
it.
That's it. I get that. What is the last straw that got you out of any of these jobs? Because you said you hated retail and you hated restaurants. So was there like a moment or an incident where you were like, fuck this, I'm out? Or were the exits kind of graceful and you were just like, I'm just done?
The exits were somewhat planned. I kind of never left one without, like I mentioned before, like swinging on a vine. Like I never left one vine without seeing the other one in front of me. I just never really knew what was going to happen. So there was never a big like PA like ding 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 attention Walmart shoppers. Like my manager's a jerk. Although wouldn't that be so fun?
So fun.
So much fun.
So
Have you ever
fun.
done that?
No, but I wish.
I know. Those videos are fun. Look them up. Yeah, so there was never a big thing, although I was that management job. I'd given them I'd given them 2 weeks or something. And they came back and they're like, I lived there. And they're like, well, you're welcome to stay the 2 weeks, but we'll actually like have someone take over in a week. So I was like, okay. So I thought in my mind, like, I've got 2 weeks. And like maybe 3 days into that, I looked around my apartment that night and I was like, if I hustle, I can get everything out of this apartment tomorrow. And that's what I did. And I just got out. I left under the veil of darkness. Like,
holy shit.
I needed to get out of there.
Wait,
it messed up my brain.
I would have messed up mine too. As soon as you said you had no peace in your home, I was like, nope, I'm out.
Yeah, it messed me up for a little while.
Wait, so you packed all of your shit in less than 24 hours?
Maybe it was 2 days. I think I did like piecemeal, like like a drug mule, like just a little bit at a time so no one really noticed.
Wait, where'd you put it all? In a storage unit?
I put it in a storage unit, yeah.
You brilliant son of a...
I had saved my boxes because I had only moved 6 months prior to that.
Oh, you knew.
I knew, I just wasn't sure. I always save boxes for at least a few months.
Yeah, I do too.
And I don't regret it because like every experience is like
matters.
Like
it teaches us something.
And I'm like so thankful for the lessons I learned.
Yes.
No, I'm glad I did it. It was an interesting step. It wasn't for me. It's for some people. It really wasn't for me. I'm shocked at how not it was for me. It was a dark time of life.
Yeah. Did you ever like contemplate leaving before the 6 months?
Oh yeah.
Then why the arbitrary 6 months?
I just didn't have anywhere to go. And then kind of that last month, all those things happened with that guy. And I guess that was it. And I just thought, I can't do that. I'm just not.
The universe was like, get out of this, Jamison. Get
this
out
is
of
not,
this.
I can't do this.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to.
I'm not
either.
equipped.
So everything else was sort of, as far as exits go, everything else was sort of well thought out, planned, etc. So there was no flip a table, get out.
No.
Okay. No. And have you ever told a customer to fuck off? I already know the answer is no. Now, maybe not in those words, but have you ever like, oh my gosh, bless your hearted someone?
No, I don't think I have.
Really?
No.
You are too nice.
Not my speed.
God. You've not
But
worked
I
at a
want
comedy club. What would you say to someone if you could?
Wow, you must be so embarrassed right now. This must be
Teed
really embarrassing
I just
for you.
teed it up.
I want to take it back. You know?
How many bodily fluids have been on your person whilst on the clock? You've never bartended, but you did work at a Hoarders situation. So
I did. So I'm gonna say, I babysat a lot. So there's
but
poop and pee.
Yeah, kid stuff. I don't.
Yeah, I don't think vomit. Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly vomit.
Kids,
so I'm gonna say like a
out.
loose 3.
A loose 3.
Loose.
Okay.
Yeah.
And spit. So maybe loose 4.
Oh, spit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever been?
No. But like close talkers, like that was great, man. Like, it's like, oh,
please stop.
thanks, but
Do you tip?
of course.
How much?
Oh, 20.
Okay. Do you ever tip more than that?
I don't think I do.
Okay.
Is that okay? Is 20
Yes,
okay?
of course.
Okay.
20's a lot.
Okay.
Because a tip is a gift, as I say on the podcast all the time. Do you ever not tip?
Oh God. Okay, so I go back and forth with this. Like, are we going to be tipping everywhere? Like, again,
This is the problem.
We're either tipping. That's why it irks me when people get mad, and this happens for Americans in foreign places. But when foreigners don't tip, and people are like,
How dare you?
But if people don't know, they don't know. And this similar thing, if Americans are in another country where like you tip your teacher or I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
If you don't know, you don't know.
That's
so, I mean, people just don't know.
But also in other countries, they're paid a livable wage to work at the restaurant that they work at, or
hopefully.
in theory, yeah. I guess I could only speak for Europe, and from what I've been told and what I experienced when I was there, it was like, oh no, we're making like enough to like buy property, so you don't.
Let me tell you
this:
I'm not tipping my Starbucks barista.
You are not.
I am tipping my favorite coffee shop barista because
What's the difference?
Because this started in pandemic. I really wanted to invest. I really love it. It's a little mom and pop shop. I love it. I love their coffee. I wanted to do a little
Shout
part.
them out. What's their name?
Javista on Sunset.
Javista
love
on
Javista.
Okay.
Love an ice Americano with lots of ice. Everyone there's super friendly. And I wanted to do just like a little part to like send a little bit of extra money their way. They made it through pandemic.
Yay.
I just love them.
Okay, so why will you tip there and not Starbucks?
Because it feels less corporate, I guess.
Okay, so the tip is for you is the support of the business. It's less the support of the individual staff member.
Both. Like I would
Okay.
imagine, I don't think that Starbucks at Barista is seeing that tip. I don't think so. If it's on a card.
They allegedly do, but it's on their paychecks and it's a whole thing. And
Okay,
like they,
yeah.
so it's like I don't entirely know because I've never worked at Starbucks, but from what I was told, it's tip pool and it's on their checks and the corporation decides how much.
Yeah.
Anytime I'm in my own experience, anytime a manager, like especially in a tip pool experience, anytime a manager has cash on hand, every time this has happened to me, they're taking some off the top. And it's very frustrating because.
Yeah. So it's kind of, I mean, listen, at a restaurant, no matter what kind of restaurant I'm tipping when my hair gets cut. I'm tipping.
You tip at the dry cleaners? I saw a tip jar at dry cleaners and I almost lit the whole building on fire.
I don't.
I was like, what am I tipping you for?
I don't own things that have to be dry cleaned. I send them into the washing machine and I say a prayer and I say, I hope I see you on the other side. And if I don't, it wasn't meant to be.
Okay, so is there an incident though that would make you not tip the server in a situation that you would have normally given 20%?
Yeah, if it was bad service, I'm talking about bad service like it's your fault server.
Tell me.
Like if it's like a kitchen issue or it's a greater kind of like we were flooded, we didn't expect it, like an act of God or something, then, and I feel like the server's doing the best they can, I would never hold it against the server. But if I felt like the server personally had something going on and they were taking it out on me, then that would affect their tip.
Give me an example.
Like maybe the meals are taking a little long and we check in and the server's like, you don't need to check in with me. Like
you had a server say that to
no,
you?
but I'm just like giving an
I gotcha.
example.
Okay.
If they were like, I'm sorry, the kitchen's backed up, I'd be like, I get it. Been here before. Like,
yeah.
This happens.
Yeah.
But if I felt like I was getting an attitude.
Okay, so don't cop an attitude with you. Never go to a comedy club. I'm just telling you, we cop attitudes like it's going out of style, and it's not worth it.
But I think I would get the vibe of what's happening there. I hope.
Maybe, but some people take advantage. Like I was a bitch more than I needed to be.
Do you
probably.
think it affected your tips?
100%.
Oh.
I got stiffed more there than I ever have been in my life.
Did it make you want to be less of what you thought was
no,
okay.
No, because that environment was miserable and toxic and all those things. Have you ever been?
Listen, episode 1, everyone.
Have you ever been stiffed in a job where you were working a tipped position?
Okay, so this is a big thing for me. Not tips, but it's a big thing for me that you pay employees for the job they do, or you pay people for the work they do. So, like when I was an assistant, I wrote a lot of checks out, and if it was like, oh, what do I need to pay? I'd always be like, this job was done. This person needs to be paid. That was a big thing for me.
Yeah.
Similarly, I've been at jobs where the paycheck didn't show up. And I've said, and I've stood up for myself, then one needs to be issued right now. Like if it's a direct deposit and there was a mistake, I'd say like, well, then one needs to be issued today. I'm big about that. You have to pay people for the work that they have done. But I don't know that I've ever been stiffed on a tip situation. I don't think so.
You don't remember getting a 0. Good for you. You're good at your
But I
job.
never really, like that restaurant job was the closest I came, and I was part of a tip pool.
Okay.
So there was never like a thing where I looked at the receipt and it was 0% tip, and I was
you're like,
oh
fuck
my God.
this place. Okay.
Yeah.
And you've had to have someone issue you a check on the spot before?
I've had to demand the money show up sooner than later. Like
Wow.
they'd be like, well, just wait for the next cycle. I'm like, no, I'm going to need it sooner than that.
Good for
then
you.
I have to like print out a printed check and like mail it.
Do you know the legality of that? Like, is that, I mean, because is there some sort of loophole where they
I don't know. And
either.
I mean, again, like shit happens.
Yeah.
Like, maybe whoever deals with the finances forgot to put my thing in. Okay, fine. I get it. Like
But
humans
fuck you,
make
pay me.
mistakes.
Yeah.
Like, okay, but now make it right.
Yeah, that's
now
right.
you know.
Okay.
When you know better, you
do better.
Now you know.
Now you know. Have you ever been fired from a customer service job? I'm sure the answer is no.
Have
you ever been fired full stop?
I've been my position has been eliminated.
That's different though.
Have I been fired?
Like something happened and the manager walked over and was like, you got to go.
No.
Never. I didn't think
No,
so.
although my first job, which this would have been before the camp counselor job, I was going to work in a dentist's office, and I showed up for my first day, and they're like, we already replaced you. And I was like, I didn't even start yet. They're like, you didn't show up last week. I was like, I was on vacation. I told you. It was weird. I was a kid. It was really weird.
That is very odd.
It was
you
really
didn't
weird.
show up last week. Fuck off.
Yeah, I was like, and I've got a good memory, and I was like, and you know, good for myself. Now that I think about it, I was like, you were standing there, you were standing there, I was standing there, and I told you that, like, it was happening. It didn't just show up. Like,
Can you imagine? Like, I understand
being told
people...
off by a little gay 16-year-old.
No,
with braces.
Good for you for. Oh, you had braces. That makes it
Of course,
extra
and
harsh.
acne and the whole thing.
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
I would not have been rude about it, but I
No.
would have said like, no, I know I'm right.
No, I more meant, can you imagine being the adult in that situation and like trying to tell him what for, and then the shame you'd be covered in being like, oh my God, he probably did tell us he's
I
going on
don't
vacation.
know. It was also my childhood dentist. It wasn't like a stranger.
Oh, that's the worst.
It
Did you
was-
find a new dentist? Was it the last visit?
It was a pediatric dentist. So
Oh.
yes, I had transitioned into the adult dentist
for
by
the
then.
braces.
Yeah, so it was just a really, when I think back on that, I think what a weird,
Creepy situation.
just weird adult behavior. You know, as a
Yes.
kid, you don't get it.
Yes.
But now I'm an adult and I look back on that and I think that was a weird position to put me in. And
100%.
why? What happened? What happened
Like,
there?
I can't imagine directly saying to a child, like,
Yeah.
"Ooh, we've already replaced you."
Yeah, it was so
Like,
weird. Like, what
What
did
bitchy
you?
energy.
What did you think happened? But I'll never know.
You'll never know
But
because
the
you
good
moved
news
on.
is, Kate, I've forgotten about it.
Clearly, and we're all over it, and no one's mad. That's good. Okay, so last question in this section, and I mean, I would imagine letter writing lady may answer this question, but either the worst customer or client that you can think of, or an archetype of who would be the worst, or what is the worst top to bottom. Hold for LAPD. That's good. When I'm rich and have a studio, I'm still going to be mobile so that I can keep it real with myself and I can keep it real with the guests.
It's real.
It's keeping me humble.
It's never quiet.
Never. It
It gets quiet at night, thankfully. Actually,
That
we've
is huge.
been blessed. We haven't heard the fire stations at the top of the daycare street.
Oh, shut up. Is
So
it really?
It's fire trucks, although they don't run their sirens at night.
Oh, they don't? That's
No,
so thoughtful.
They wait till they get to the end of the street to run the sirens.
That's really
It
thoughtful.
is very thoughtful.
God bless. Worst customer.
Worst kind of customer. I guess I would go with what I said before. The
Yeah.
one who's doesn't like have a lot of money at their free will and is about to drop a lot of money and feels like they can treat people like shit.
And are entitled.
There's also a lot of people, I also want to say, who don't have a lot of money and are about to spend a lot of money and are perfectly lovely people.
That's right.
So it can be done.
It can be done, but you're saying just the example of the worst is that
Yeah.
style of personality. Okay, good. Well, folks, we're going to move on to the good stuff. We hoped you saved room for dessert. Isn't that nice? I called it dessert. Do you get it? Because dessert is sugary and yummy.
I love dessert.
Yeah. Do you get why I called this section dessert? I'm asking for praise.
Oh, yeah, because it's fun and it's sugary and it's great.
Whatever. Fine. What's the night? No, shut up, Jamison.
I want to do it. I just don't know what to say. Just
What
tell
was
me what you want for your birthday and I'll get it for you, please. I just don't know what to
Help. He threw his hands up and he's like curling his hair behind his ear. What was the nicest thing a customer has done for you whilst you were working? Or a client, or maybe an employer, or something that you're like, oh, this was really lovely.
I had an employer during my assistant work who sent me to Barney's to buy those super expensive Lalabo candles.
Oh.
I don't know if you're familiar with
I'm
Lalabo.
not.
It's super.
I'm very poor.
It's the rich.
Yay.
And she said, just buy one for yourself. I missed your birthday. Why don't you just buy one for yourself?
Aww.
So, me being kind of like a bit of a frugal gourmet, I
Yeah.
thought, okay, I'm going to buy it and then I'm going to return it. And I'm going to take the money and do something else with it.
I like where your head's at.
Well, wait, Kate, just wait before
Oh God.
you have your reaction. I got home that night and I looked at the candle and I thought, you know what? I'll never buy a $75 candle for myself again. I loved the scent of it and I kept it and I
Good.
burned it. And every time I would burn it for an hour, I would think that was $10 or like,
Oh,
which is
bless
like,
you.
unfortunately my personality.
Mine too.
But I got hooked on the scent and I still love the scent to this day. And I ended up getting the cologne.
Yes.
I ended up just going like fully in. When you get it made, the label is personalized. And they're like, well, what's your name? Because it'll be like made at Barney's for Jamison.
Wow.
And they're like, well, what's your name? We'll put it on the label. And I was like, can you just put badass bitch? And they're like, yeah, we can.
I'll die.
So mine says like made at Barney's for badass bitch.
I love that so much. Is that on the outside of the candle?
No, I got the cologne. The cologne spray is same scent.
Come on.
But yes, the candle is personalized as well.
Well,
And I'm telling you, Kate, you will notice when you go into rich people's homes, their homes are littered with these Lalabo candles.
really, is it just a flex because they're so expensive?
I guess I once worked for this very wealthy woman and I walked in and the first thing I smelled was the smell. And it was like kind of like a horror movie where I like zoned in on one candle and then I looked over and it was like another candle and it was like zooming on another candle and I was like, there are 6 candles in this one room. It's $500 of candles.
Can you imagine?
So anyway, it was a really sweet thing.
Yes, that is very
and
sweet.
I'm glad I kept it, and it was really sweet of her. Thank you. Shout out
to the nameless human. And you know what's lovely is that Jamison has 6 of those candles in his apartment right now, and they're all burning. And thank you for lighting them. Well, I had to tell them. They needed to know.
I'm going to take $100 bills and just dip them in the wax. Use that as a wick.
Listen, you have a bidet. I can't pronounce anything or make a joke. You have a bidet, so you're very fancy.
I love my bidet.
Who doesn't? What's the best tip you have ever gotten?
So when I worked at that fancy restaurant, it was co-owned by the fancy chef, who was the chef, and then just this very rich man. And every time that rich man walked into the threshold of that door, he would tip at the host stand $100.
That would make me loyal in a weird way.
Yeah,
That's a way to.
I'm assuming when he was served, he also gave a high tip, like on his. I don't know if he got a bill, but it was very generous of him. I didn't really know the guy. That's kind of all I knew about him.
Well, yeah, if you're the co-owner. I just want to praise your ability to keep that anonymous. I'm just really impressed by how you're sidestepping being specific.
I'm not looking to get sued.
I know, but you're doing a really good job.
I haven't said too much.
No, you haven't at all. Okay. No, that wasn't meant to make you to make you squeamish. It was actual praise.
Okay, can we end this now?
No. Okay, what's the best time you've ever had at work?
You know, you mentioned working on the cruise ship. I guess it was a job. I'm sure you talked to a lot of improv comedians who worked on cruise ship doing sketch and improv. It is a mixed bag for people of prison and vacation.
Dwayne said the same thing.
And I loved it.
You loved that they had access to you all the time?
Not so much that part. I felt like there was a fine balance and I liked meeting people and I liked performing for people. But what I'll tell you I loved the most was the behind the scenes. And this is why I can never go on a cruise again, because I would just be so envious of what's happening in the cruise section. The memories and the weird, unique situation we were on the ship for 4.5 months of our lives, every moment of every day, living in these windowless cabins and meeting all kinds of people from all over the world with all kinds of different talents and all kinds of different jobs. And all that stuff was just so magical to me. And I'm thinking specifically, I did 4 contracts, and on my 3rd contract, there was a moment where this cabin had a window, and I'd say it was like 10 by 5, I guess. And we just had shoved into that cabin comedians, musicians, the people that were working at the kids zone, servers. We just had people just packed in here, and like all these little micro conversations happening, and someone with a guitar. And I thought, this is it. And not one cell phone, that we just don't have life like that. So there were no cell phones.
Wow.
There was no internet. I mean, the internet exists, but no one's on the internet because you have to pay for it. So no one's on their phone. No one's like, oh, I'll look it up. Like, you're just going off your memory and you're just making memories. And I vividly remember thinking, this is the meaning of life. Not every moment was pleasant, but that is it. Like, we were just connecting, and we were just people of all ages, of all ethnicities, from all over the world, and just getting drunk on crew bar wine and beer and just like doing it. And so that's a really happy memory.
Speaking of doing it, how would anybody hook up in those settings?
Well, I mean, people leave the room.
Oh, so you would just time it? But if you're cramming a whole bunch of people...
No, they're not all living in that room. Oh. No, we're having a party.
Oh,
it's a cabin party. I'm sorry. No.
Okay.
It's a cabin party.
That's why when you said 10 by 5, I'm like, how many bunks are in this tiny little room?
3 to 4 people in a room.
That's
I know,
not
but
enough
like,
space.
we had our own cabins. I primarily had my own cabin.
Wait, did anybody hook up at the party?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, no, not there. No.
Oh.
I don't know what happened afterwards.
No, I just ruined that story. It was a very sweet story that I just made sexual.
No, that's okay, because there is hooking up among the crew. There's a lot of that happening.
Thanks, Jamison. What a dad answer. Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
No, finish what you were going to say. Goddamn.
No, there's a lot so
happens.
interesting. It's just people from all walks of life.
Did you watch people like fall in love and have like that summer camp romance?
Oh, totally.
Did you fall in love?
There's one guy who I pined after for a very long time. He had a boyfriend.
Boo. Did you ever smooch?
Well, no, no. Well, he ended up breaking up with his boyfriend. Our contracts were parallel to each other. Thank you. And his was one shorter than me. And 2 weeks before his contract ended, him and his boyfriend broke up.
Did you smooch then?
I played the long game, and I just thought, like, I'm not going to be
his
like,
rebounds.
creepo.
Yeah.
But he came to me and we did smooch.
Yeah.
We did. But then I spent like the whole week just being like,
I love him.
oh, the whole last week, like he left, and I was just like,
just sad. Did you stay in touch?
A little, and then we just kind of both moved on with our lives.
Oh, boo. Yeah. What is the best lesson you have ever learned from working in customer service?
Hold for thoughts. The best lesson I've learned in customer. See how I'm just like dragging.
I know you are.
It's like Miss America. I believe the children of the best lessons, like such as America and the world.
And forthwith.
For politics and bringing us all together.
Jamison, I told you I edit. You can take all the time you need, but now I'm not editing any of this out. I'm going to make everybody suffer through this with me.
They should suffer. The best lesson I've learned is this actually happened to me on the cruise, and I remember at a meeting the cruise director was like, you're part of people's vacations, you're part of a special time in their lives, and it just didn't really stick with me. And I had heard, after working on cruise ships, I had heard someone else kind of express it, and they really nailed it. And they had said, when you think about your memories as a kid, you don't really remember the day-to-day in your house, but you remember those vacations you went on with your family.
Oh, wow.
And I think this was someone trying to sell. I was eavesdropping on in Disney World, listening to someone try to sell someone a timeshare.
100%.
And I was like, oh God, I want this timeshare. But I was like, wow, that's a really good point. And it's true. It is true. And then I thought about my experience working on the cruise ship, and I kind of winced a little, like, oh, I maybe could have done a little bit better, because it is true. I was part of for me, it was Groundhog's Day, week after week after week after week. Every Monday or every Sunday was a reset. But for these people, it was a moment in time and things they remember. And I think I made I don't think I ruined anyone's vacation,
sure.
But that is something I learned. And I think it does kind of expand beyond that. And, when you're face to face with someone, you're having a moment with them, and it can be a pleasant moment. Unless they're an asshole, then
fuck them.
Be an asshole. Yeah, then fuck them. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. And then last question in this section. What's one piece of advice you would give to customers who interact with customer service workers?
Girl, you don't know what's going on in their day. And they don't know what's going on in your day. So let's just get this transaction done, and let's let it be pleasant. I remember once my father, who's no longer with us, we've talked about this.
We are in the Dead Dads Club.
The Dead Dads Club, of course. This is old school, we were going through toll booth, and this was when, there were still, in New Jersey, there's toll booths, as there are in other places. They're not really in California. Where are you from, Kate?
Ohio.
Oh, okay. Toll booths in
Nope.
Ohio? Okay, so in New Jersey, there's toll booths. And they're pretty much automated now, but at one time it would be like half, you just throw in a bucket and half people. And we're stopped, and my dad gives the person the money and then says, like, how are you today? And the person's like, okay. And he like says something kind of funny or whatever, and like guys laughs, and we leave. And I'm like, Dad, like there's a line of people behind us, like they just want to get on with it. And he said, if you put a smile on someone's face, like it's not such a bad thing. And it's really something that's always stuck with me. And perhaps you can say it's somewhat Freudian. I ended up in the world of comedy to that degree, but that is something I think often about, and it's true. And we have an opportunity at every turn to kind of be a positive influence in someone's day, even if it's brief, with the caveat of sometimes I'm an asshole too. So
Same.
like, it's all the things.
It's all the things.
I want that to be clear. It's all the things.
That's
sometimes
right.
I'm not in the mood, and it's just quick and it's dirty. But when you take a step back and you ask me a question like that, I think that we can take a moment to say, hey, how are you? And genuinely mean it.
What's your dad's name?
Gary.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks for
Gary.
that. All right. Well, what a great way to end. How can people get in touch with you, Jamison? Good old socials. You plugged it up top, but I want you to plug it again. Your website. Like, we're gonna link to your Voyage LA and your Shout Out LA interviews in the show notes. But like, where else? Like, how can they?
You can find me at Hey Jamison Scala. It's Jamison with an I, or at jamesonscala.com.
And Scala is Scala, and that obviously will be in the title and the show notes.
Oh, don't forget to put www.
Oh God, he's 60. Okay, boomer.
Otherwise, it gets you. It's wide the way.
Well, folks, we're going to drop your checks now. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to help us out here at Service from Hell, we'd love to have you subscribe, rate, and or review the show wherever you listen. For real, it actually helps with the algorithm or whatever the hell. I don't know. I think there's trolls in the back. They figure something out. Please do it. It will help us reach more people that need to be schooled in the art of being kind. It won't be catharsis for those of us still working in the industry. If you want to get in touch with us here directly at Service from Hell, send us your receipts to servicefromhellpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Remember, if you can't afford to tip, you can't afford to go out. So don't be garbage and be good to people. It's easier that way. Thanks for being on, Jamison.
Kate, thanks for coming over to my palatial home.
Your palatial home with all of those lalavu. What the hell's the name?
Lalabo candles.
Lalava candles.
I'll have my person who works with me see you out. I have to light all these candles and burn this place to the ground.
It's only because I was here, and that's very rude. I showered yesterday, I think. Jamison's rude. Find him on the socials, whatever.
Hey, but seriously, this was fun. Thank you so much.
I'm glad you were here. You were lovely. Thank you, folks, so much for listening. Good night. Are you doing okay?
Physically? Emotionally?
Well, this is supposed to be off air, but now I'm going to put this in. Are you doing okay physically and emotionally?
I am.
Okay, cool. We're going to move on.